Hello and welcome to Olga's show, where you can get inspired, motivated, and educated by absolutely phenomenal people. This is a show where actually you can learn how to kickstart your life. Today I have somebody very phenomenal, very unique guest, Loni Brown, who is a certified interior decorator, a speaker, and a founder of EntirelyEco. Today, Loni will tell us all about how to start a business being a mom. Something so many people actually would like to do by being a parent, running a business. Loni, thank you so much for coming today to my show and bringing your wisdom and bringing your joyful smile. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I must say, I was really surprised. Well, we got in touch all thanks to Robert J. Moore, who actually introduced us. And you said, yes, Olga, of course, let's book an interview. I'm happy to share my story. And then you were like, well, my baby's just about to be due. And I was like, oh my God, how are we going to do it? But you were such a true businesswoman. You just handled everything so perfectly well. And I must say, I so admire your strength. But tell us, how easy was it for you to become such savvy businesswoman, so organized and so well composed?
well, it definitely didn't happen overnight. I started my first business many years ago, and I was not a mom. I wasn't even married at the time. So it was like, now looking back, it was like I had all the time in the world. Back then, I felt like I had no time, but like now I really have no time. It's amazing what happens when you think you have no time, and then you get married and you have kids and all of that, and it's no time really. But I think with my first daughter is 3.5, and I was working while I had her, and but that business I had already built, and I had already like had the foundation. So while I was pregnant with her, it was a little bit easier to have that transition. But this new business that I've just started within the last year and a half, it was mainly while I was pregnant with my second. And so I built this business, while, basically while pregnant with my second baby. But I got the idea for this business while I was pregnant with my first. And I, while I was pregnant with my daughter, I, like most moms, was building my baby registry. And I've lived a fairly health conscious life. There's lots of cancer that runs in my family, um, and lots of different illnesses on both sides. And so, 20 years ago, I knew that I wanted my story to be different. I didn't want to have all the health issues that some of my family members have. I definitely didn't want to get cancer. So I started to live a fairly healthy life, really focused on the food that I was consuming, as well as like personal care products, like what I was putting on my skin and my makeup and everything. But when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I started to build her registry, and I started to research things like, what crib mattress is she going to have? What baby furniture are we going to get? What baby clothes are we going to get? Blankets, the rug, that's going to be in her room, all the things. And as I started to do the research, I learned how toxic all of these products can be. Baby toys, baby clothes, furniture. I mean, all of these things in your home that I never thought about. And so I started to do research, and I became really frustrated. I mean, I literally was sobbing, crying, as I was trying to build a registry, because unlike the food industry, where there's a little more regulation, here in the United States, there's a little more regulation with food industry, and even like, starting to be with cosmetics and personal care products. In home decor, like when you think of like furniture and clothing and rugs, I mean, there is not a lot of regulation. Companies can have products that are labeled safe for babies, non-toxic, eco-friendly, like all of these sustainable, all of these things, they're not regulated terms here. So here you have all of these products that you think are safe, that are marketed as safe, and you start to do a little digging and you start to look at the actual materials and you start to look at the ingredients and you find out that they're not. And so I was just frustrated because I was like, where do you go? Like, how do you know who to trust? Like, this is going to, if I have to research to this extent, every single item at that level, like it's going to be like, it's so many hours. And I combed the internet. I tried to find communities. I talked to experts to get their opinions, but it was really piecemealing all of these different things together to like really be able to accomplish this. And so we built a new home. I was able to build a beautiful nursery room for my daughter. Like, I'm totally confident about all the products, that I was able to build. And, I went through this experience, 4 years ago. And the entire time I just thought there has to be a better way. Like, there has to be, like, mamas who care about this stuff shouldn't have to go through the extent of frustration and research that I went through just to like have a safe home and room for their babies. And so I became really passionate about this, and I was like, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to build the thing that I wish existed when I was going through this process. Because, a lot of moms that I talk to, they're like, oh yeah, I would never have done all the research you did. I just would have given up and just got the toxic things and just been done with it. It's just too much, too overwhelming. It's too much time. And, working full time, it's just, you can't do it. So I was like, I don't want mamas to give up. I don't want people to just say it's too hard, because it is. So I'm like, I'm going to build the company to make this easier for people. And so that's what I did. I started my company from a gap in the market, something that, was built out of my own frustration. And now I've turned that into this passion, mission-based business, which I'm so excited about. But yeah, I mean, it's really twofold. We have an e-commerce shop where we sell eco-friendly organic products. Like, these are all products that I did the research. I mean, I've personally vetted all these brands and these manufacturers. And then we have an educational side of our company as well, where we really take that research and knowledge that I have and we distill it down into easy pieces for people to be able to do on their own, so that they don't have to go through the extent that I did. So that was how I started my business and how it began. But it definitely wasn't easy. It was a lot harder, being pregnant and having a baby and all of that.
I mean, I'm absolutely amazed by that, because first of all, to do the research, that already is time-consuming thing to do. And I totally will agree with the rest of the moms who will say that's too time-consuming, because I'm a mom as well, and my baby, he's 14-year-old by now. So back then we had even less information about stuff like, what exactly they're made of and stuff like that. So I must say, I never really spent that much time wondering, because I was just thinking, well, this is what it is. So listening to you now, I'm thinking, my Lord, with nowadays distractions which we have, with also you having a baby already in your family and you doing all of the research, getting frustrated and also starting a business, this is absolutely insane. However, there's the best way how to start a business. And I always talk about the power of decision, because you could have easily just go along with the journey and just say, you know what, I will just continue complaining. I will just continue being unhappy about this. I will just continue talking about this, but nothing will change. But what you have decided, and that was a minute nanosecond of probably your lifetime, deciding to start a business about that. I love that. How admirable is that? So basically, what you're saying, look at the gap in the market. What exactly is that you want to resolve? You see as a problem and start resolving that. Is it right?
Yes,
Love
that
that.
is right. That
Love
is
that.
right. And if you can, and if it's something that you enjoy, and if it's a passion of yours, that's even better. Like, I love to take a gap in the market with a passion, that you have. That's like a winning combination, in my opinion.
Love that. Absolutely love it. And I must say, this is the best way how to run a business. When you literally find the need, which you can find a way how to fulfill. And then the more you fulfill that need, the more money you can make, right? It's amazing. Absolutely love that. Okay, but then how about the right balance of you starting a brand new business, which is just a fresh baby of yours, having a baby already and having a baby which is still inside of you, so it's easier to run around and doing all the errands together because baby's inside of you. But once baby's out, how do you still handle your business? How do you still manage to run it? Or maybe you pause it at the minute. What's the situation with your business right now?
Yes. So I am a true believer in finding balance. And I don't mean this like when people say work-life balance. I don't know that that is really a thing. Um, I call it more like it's like work-life integration. But I don't define balance as being like equal, right? It's it's however you need to feel that you are present in both areas. So that's the kind of balance. And it doesn't necessarily, when people say balance, sometimes they think equal, and it's not, not necessarily the case. Sometimes in my life, my family and life is here and the business is here. And
Yeah.
at that point, that's balance for me. But then at another point, it could switch a little bit. And so that's why I think we need to give ourselves grace to be able to be flexible with how that looks for ourselves. When I say balance, it's just what's right for you in the moment, based on those two factors. So I think when people strive for like equal balance, or, balance meaning more time with their family, it can lead to a lot of frustration and mom guilt. I think a lot of mom business owners deal with mom guilt. And it's perfectly normal. We all have that. It's
Mhm.
like I experience, when I am spending so much quality time with my family, that's amazing. But then I feel guilty that I could be doing more in my business. And maybe my business could be more successful if I was doing more in the business. And then you pivot and you're doing more in the business. And then you feel like you're a terrible spouse and a terrible mom, because you're like doing more in the business. And it's like, it's never going to be equally balanced. It's never. You're just going to have different seasons, right? And so when I was building my business and I was pregnant, I was in the season of like working really hard on the business because I knew once I have my new tiny little newborn, I was going to have to take a little bit of a step back from the business to be able to spend time with my newborn. So that's normal, and I plan for that. So I, explained to my husband while I was pregnant, I'm going to have to be, doing a lot of hours in the business, really building this up, really, getting things out there and prepared in a way so that I can afford to take some time away once the newborn is born. So when I think about balance, I think about what season are you in at the moment, and what does it require for you in your life and in your business, and be conscious and intentional about that. And that is where you get the balance from. That is where the balance comes, because you have that intention. And so therefore, that this is what you're doing. So you don't have that guilt, right? You've been intentional about it. You said, I'm in the season right now where I'm spending more hours in my business and I'm getting less family time. And how is that going to look? Okay, it's going to look like I'm going to dedicate, one day a weekend not to work at all. So we go on family, we do fun family things. I'm doing everything, but that's what it looks like. And then there's going to be a different season where I'm like, okay, my business is thriving. Like I don't have to work in it as much, and I'm going to spend more time with my family. So maybe that looks like I give myself 3-day weekends, right? And I don't work in my business for 3 days, over the weekend, and only 4 days in the business. So all of that changes. And I think as moms, we need to give ourselves the flexibility and the grace to be able to do that and be intentional about it. And that way we'll eliminate some of that mom guilt. It never really fully ends, but we'll definitely manage it better.
I love that. And actually, it's something which reminds me of like 4 seasons in a year. Like we have springtime when all farmers they start planting everything. Like they're really busy because they have to plant, they have to prepare the fields, they have to prepare those whatever soil and then seeds and everything else. And then they have summertime where they kind of relax, but not really because they go from one field to another, then to another one, looking after crops and looking after these fresh plants and watering them and making sure they're not eaten by bugs and everything else. And then there's autumn time, a really busy time when you harvest and you harvest everything and fruits and vegetables and berries and everything else. But then we have a winter time, time when you just relax, time when you probably go and you sometimes sort out which potatoes will go for the seeds, which potatoes we can eat this winter, whatever, right? So pretty much the same happens in the business. And as I listen to you, it honestly, what you speak about is like music to my ears. I'm like, oh yes, of course. I love that because we need to understand life and business will be never equal, right? So I love what you're saying there. Just appreciate what you have right now. And if you have to spend more time in your business, do it. Because then there'll be time when you will have more time for your family, and then do it. And then you have to go back to business, do it. But learning to adapt between seasons, I think that's very, very important. So I absolutely love what you are saying there. There's no such a thing as perfect work and life balance. It just doesn't exist. There's no such a thing as perfect at all in the world. But aiming at giving my best to my business and giving my best to my family without mother's guilt is important. Love that. That's very, very smart. And I wonder, have you learned it from somewhere or was just your observation and was it your own lesson? That's a good question.
Yes, no, this was just something that I've just learned over time because it's from all it's just from being frustrated, right? From from having a business, like you said, it's like a third baby, right? And so if I neglect it, it's like neglecting a third baby, right? And we can't do that. And I think there's this false perception in the world that um it's our business isn't like another baby, right? That it should, and I'm not saying your business should be more important than your actual real babies, but you should be intentional with your business the same way you would with your family and your life. You can't just push it to the side, because then it's going to be really difficult to be successful in business if you're not being intentional and you're not dedicating the time that you need to it. And so you're absolutely right. Being strategic about the year and planning out those seasons, right, for yourself and based on your business and how your business operates, that's key. And that's what I learned, because if you go really, really hard all year, it's going to cause burnout. And when you have burnout, you're not operating in a powerful place anyway. And so it's going to be like on the hamster wheel. You're just working really hard, but you're not getting anywhere. And so what I learned is, if you take a step back and you're a little bit strategic about it, and you know when those busy seasons are coming and you plan those and you're really intentional with those, then you don't feel guilty when you step away from your business during a different season and you're spending a lot more time with your family, or the holiday is coming and you take a step back from your business, but that's okay because you've planned it and you're intentional about it. So I think that being intentional, I really learned that over time. And I think that's been the key to people that are doing better at this. It's the people that are strategic and they're intentional about it, because then it doesn't catch you off guard. Then you're not just trying to do all the things all the time and driving yourself crazy. So it definitely was a journey for me, and definitely something that didn't happen, but it's almost like motherhood like forces you to figure this out. It forces you to be very intentional and very strategic. Like you have no other choice.
I love that. Pretty much just like motherhood is about not having another choice. You are given a baby at the birth and you think, okay, hello, baby. And that's it. Nobody gives you a certificate. Nobody gives you a course. Nobody gives you a mentor how to raise a child. You do it. You just do it. So I love that. Okay, so now what we did so far, we found a gap. and we got frustrated about that gap, and now we're closing this gap by providing whatever is needed for this gap. And now we are also building the business based on great intentions, giving 100% to either a business or family, right, whichever time comes, but also being strategic and planning ahead. What I'm going to do and what and how. But Loni, a good question is, how can you make sure you thrive in your business when you're a mom, you're a partner, you're a mom to two children, well, three, which if we consider your business being a third baby, you also have your personal life. You have your friends, you're also a daughter, right? You have so many other hats. So how do you make sure you can thrive your business in such busy environment?
Yes. So for me, the key is mindset. And I know that like when people think, oh yeah, yeah, mindset, and they don't actually give it the, the power that it actually has. I think honestly, what separates really successful, thriving business owners and entrepreneurs with ones that aren't, honestly, it's not any kind of intelligence. It's not that these people are smarter than others. It's not that, they're better in any kind of way. To me, the key is mindset. I think if you interview people and you talk to lots of business owners, successful and not, you see a trend with the successful ones, and it has to do with mindset. I think our minds like get in the way. I think if you think of, procrastination, self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, playing small, all of these things are just the output of your mindset, right? And I have been working on mindset for, I don't know, 25 years. Like when I first learned about this, and really the last decade has been, the most.
Mhm.
But I have learned that when you change your mindset, like everything changes around you, right? Like even what we were just talking about, being frustrated with, being a bad business owner, being a bad mom, all of that comes, that guilt, that mom guilt, business guilt, all that comes from your mindset, right? If you feel like you're being a bad mom, or you feel like you have this mind guilt, like mom guilt, that's all coming from your mind. And so you have to reframe it, and you have to, change the way you think about things if you want to feel better. The key for me in thriving in business, and really in life, thriving in life and business, is mindset. I have a mindset practice where I am becoming hyper aware of my limiting beliefs. We all have them, right? No one doesn't have limiting beliefs. It's just the people who are successful, and do better with this. They've figured out how to master their limiting beliefs and kind of reshape them to have a more positive, powerful mindset, in my opinion. So I've learned how to take a limiting belief, which when handled not properly ends up becoming, that imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, procrastination, right? Giving up, right? When you have a limiting belief and you don't deal with it in the right way, it's going to manifest in those ways, and you're going to feel stuck, and you're going to feel like, you can't do it, and you're going to basically self-sabotage yourself out of success. But if you take that limiting belief and you acknowledge it, because it's there for a reason, right? You have it for a reason. There's probably something in you that's trying to protect you, right? Which is why you're having that limited belief. So it's not that you just have to shove it away, because it's going to be there. You have to actually deal with it in the moment. And so I take that limiting belief and I give it some credit, right? Because obviously I wouldn't be having this belief if there wasn't some kind of truth to it. But what you do is you reframe it, right? You turn that negative belief into something positive, and you reframe that positive statement, and you give evidence to it, right? So I'll give you an example. We'll just go with this whole like not having enough time for everything, since we were kind of talking about that. So say one of my limiting beliefs is, I never have time to do what I need to be able to be successful, right? Like that's a belief that people can have, right? There's not enough time. There's not enough time for me to be successful because of all the responsibilities, right? So that's a negative belief. You could take that belief and say, okay, how about let's change it to I always have enough time, right? I always have enough time to do what I need, right? Then it's like, that's not it, right? You can't just stop there, because if you don't truly believe that, then it doesn't work. So then you have to give evidence. Like when in life could you prove that, like, yes, you always have time, right? And so you go back and you're like, oh, well, I remember, when this happened, when I had a deadline and I was working on this project and I knew that, like, I didn't have enough time. Somehow I got it done. Like, I figured out a way to get it done. I got the project done on time, right? And then that's evidence of, like, you're right. Like, I always have time, right? I always have time, because these are like 3 different situations in life that I can prove that, like, I do always have time, right? And so now you're saying that from a place of, like, it's true. I always have time. I always find a way. I always find a way, right? And so now you've taken that negative belief, limiting belief, and you've turned it into something more powerful. And so I start my day with, when I start to feel flustered, like, oh my gosh, like I have to do all these things and I don't know if I'm gonna do it, I go back to, like, you know what? I always have time, right? And I go back to those 3 situations. Remember those 3 things? Like, I always have time. Because what happens is subconsciously, like, your subconscious is saying, yes, you're right, you always have time. And so it seems like magic, but, like, then it happens throughout your day. Something happens where, oh, something got canceled, right? And all of a sudden it freed up this time that you didn't think that you were gonna have to. Like, it's crazy how it manifests. So when you have those, when you have that mindset, it's like the universe just makes things happen for you, right? But if I was going the whole day saying, like, I don't have enough time, I'm not going to be able to get it done, I'm not going to be able to get it done, there's too many meetings, like, it wouldn't have unfolded that way. That thing wouldn't have gotten canceled. It wouldn't have gotten rescheduled. It wouldn't have reworked itself out, because I was focused on that limiting belief of not having time. But instead, when you focus on having time, it's like the domino effect. Things just happen to where it works. So for me, I know this is a long way to say it, but for me, I think mindset is so key. And I'm already in, when you start practicing, mindset, it's almost like you have to, like, go back and, like, get rid of all those bad habits that you had before. So already with my daughters, I'm already starting to, like, do mindset with them. I'm already starting to help her when she says something that's like a limiting belief. It's like, I can't do it, or I'm not good at this. Like, I'm already starting with her to help, like, reframe, because imagine she's 3. Like, imagine if she starts on mindset now, like, what the rest of her life can be like, even my little newborn that I have, like, I'm talking to her and I'm saying all of these positive affirmations and positive statements, even though she can't hear me right now. Her subconscious is listening. Her subconscious is taking that in. And, like, I believe it, I'm like, this is like, my children are like the experiments, I'm going to see, like, how can I give them this mindset, and, like, is that going to impact them from all these negative, beliefs and limiting beliefs that they can have in life. So that's the key, in my opinion.
I must say, I absolutely love that, because one of my favorite phrases as a mindset coach is change your mindset, change your life. So when you're saying me right now that you are already planting those seeds into your children's minds, that tells me they're going to be absolutely extraordinary children. Extraordinary children. Because when I have people coming to me to work on their mindset and they are 40 or 50, I had the oldest client being 73. Can you imagine how many things we had to release and let go and work on and replace? Just like you said, limiting beliefs, to replace them. But we are the accumulation of limiting beliefs if we don't work on them. So the older you are, the more limitations you build up in your own mindset. So what you do right now as a mother is absolutely phenomenal job. It's absolutely phenomenal job to actually allow your children to learn about the right mindset since they are little. I really admire you, Loni, I really, really admire you because what you do is not easy. It might sound right now to everybody who is listening to this show very easy. Yes, it was easy for her. She just found the gap and she decided to close it. Then she learned to be seasonal and to be intentional. And now she's just thriving through her mindset. But I know personally, it was not an easy. It was not an easy journey. It was not an easy job. And what you do, let me just tell you this, is absolutely remarkable. So
Thank
please
you.
don't just stop. Don't you stop because you are a true inspiration, not only for me, but surely for everybody who's watching this right now, but also for your own children. For them, you'll be always their mommy who is absolute inspiration and an example. You do know that, right?
Yes, yes. I'm really trying. I mean, it's, you're right. Like it's not easy. I have bad days, I have good days, but I have more good days, right? And that's all that I'm working towards is more good days than bad days. It's not, it's not perfect, but I, like you said, like it's a journey, right? And as long as we continue and we learn, um, you know, we can better ourselves, better our businesses, and of course, have a bigger impact on our families and our children.
Love that. Love that. Loni, what would you tell to those who actually right now are willing to start a business, or maybe they just about to go back to job because the maternity leave is nearly over and they're not really willing to go back to job. They kind of want to work for themselves. Do you have any encouragement words which you could tell them just, to a little bit inspire them with something extra? Do you have anything for them?
Yes, I would say, do what feels right to you. And that might be going back to work and working on this business idea on the side, like in the evenings, on the weekends, and really, seeing what can be. It might be, if you have the capability, it might be not going back. It might be, what, like this, this is speaking to you and you want to just go 100% in, and that's what your gut is telling you, that might be the right decision for you. I like to say, go inward and really figure out for you in your situation right now what is going to be the best path forward. um, it works either way. There have been successful people that have done it like different ways, right? Some people started 100% and it just went all in. Other people said, nope, I'm going to keep my full-time thing that I have and I'm going to work on this on the side so that I can eventually step away. There's no right way to do it as long as you're intentional about it and you go internal with it. The answers will present themselves. For me, I got this idea, like I said, when I was pregnant with my first baby, and I went back to my old business and was working that. And I had felt this calling and felt this pulling of like, I want to build this other thing. So I started to slowly do that. And then finally I jumped in 100%, and that was the right decision for me. And I ended up was, pregnant, during the building process of that. But that is, and I knew that I was like, okay, you know, I'm having this next baby and I want to get this new business to a place where I can do it full time. And that's what I want to do because this is my passion. This is my mission. I want to help moms. I want to help people detox their environments. I want to, and being able to work with these clients, it's like every day reminds me of like all the different sacrifices that I've made. It's so worth it. So I tell people, look inwards, go with your gut. It'll all work out.
I love that. I absolutely love that. What's a wonderful, very wonderful advice. But you also mentioned helping people. So could you please share with us how exactly can you help those who are watching us right now, how they can get help from you? What exactly can you help them with and how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. So I tend to work with clients all over the world. I have, as you mentioned earlier, I'm a certified interior decorator. So I really am blending eco-friendly, non-toxic living with interior design, because you can have both. And what I learned when I was going through this process of building my own home is that there's people that just specialize in interior design, and then there's people that just specialize in eco-friendly living. And you're like trying to juggle multiple experts and they don't really know, like it's like your interior designer doesn't really know what things are eco-friendly, what things are not toxic. They're just giving you these products that you have to then do your research. Or you're working with a non-toxic expert, but they have no design sense. They're like, oh, this one's good. And you're like, this does not match anything in my home. And so I'm like, you can have both. You know, I took this passion. I became a certified interior decorator. I enrolled to become a building biologist, to really understand toxins in our environment and materials and everything like that. And so I'm like, I'm going to blend the two. Like, you don't have to hire two different experts. Like you know, I can work with people where they are in their journey, and I can help them with both, because I do think they're both important. It's important to have a healthy environment, but it's also like, we're women, like we want it to look good. We want it, you know, we want to feel good in our homes, and we want it to speak to our own style and everything else. So I work with clients all over the world, on their homes. I help them detox their homes. I help them create beautiful, non-toxic environments. And then I have an online store where I, you know, sell a lot of these products from all these different brands that I've vetted. I've personally vetted all these brands. So anything that I sell in my store, like 100% is, you know, good and healthy, and it says what they say, what they are. So I think that's important, so that you're not having to do all the research. But really what I like to do is I like to work with moms. I like, especially expecting moms, because that first, if you want to create a healthy home, I think the first place you should start is in the nursery or in the baby room. It doesn't have to be a traditional nursery, wherever the baby is sleeping, because the baby is sleeping for 16 hours plus a day. And so that environment is so important, of where they are sleeping and where they're playing, because their lungs are still developing, their systems are still developing. They don't have strong immune systems. So being exposed to these environmental toxins in our homes, it's just not good for their system. So I work with moms on their baby rooms. I have a guide that helps them and shows them everything that they can do. And then once they've accomplished that, then we move on to the rest of the home. So that's really how I like to work with clients.
That is so sweet. I just can see you absolutely thriving in that, because when you speak, you have so much passion. Especially when you went to expecting moms, I could see how passionate you are about that, which is absolutely admirable. Well, Loni, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today with us and sharing your journey, which you said honestly, and this is what I admire you for, that you're so authentic. You said honestly, it wasn't an easy journey, but it was so worth it, because I can see you being passionate, I can see you being happy, and I can see you being successful at what you do. And also running the schedule so well. Because as I said, I was really surprised how you were expecting a baby, and we still managed to schedule the session, and then we rescheduled it, and you were on the top of all things. And I was thinking, wow, that is a top mom and a top businesswoman. So thank you so very much for coming today to my show. I'll make sure I share your links to your website and also all the social media links below this video. But if there's anything else you would like to share before we finish up this show, the stage is yours. Please tell us.
Oh, well, just thank you so much for having me. And like I tell all my clients, everything in moderation, right? Even moderation, right? Everything in moderation. Give ourselves grace and permission to take things one step at a time. Even if you have the desire to make a healthier home, like it's not going to happen overnight. Similar to like building a thriving business, doesn't happen overnight. Like take it step by step and just go with it in moderation. Thank you so much for having me.
It was such a pleasure. And can I just add something else? I'm not sure if you could hear or not, but today in the UK we have a bonfire night, and I know we have a time difference, so it's like 7 o'clock now, and we have a like fireworks all this time. Not sure if you could hear it or not, but I feel like this session was so special. It's almost like the universe is celebrating this with us. And I think it's almost a sign that all those, especially moms, expecting moms who are watching us right now, if you think about the business, just start it. If you think about going back to work because your maternity leave just about to finish, as a mom, you're looking after your little children, you know what? Go with the flow and just start, be brave, and then you will celebrate. So I feel like this fireworks, which was here shooting all this time, still does, almost like a sign that everybody needs to make that step and then celebrate.
Oh, so, so good. Like, how's that? Fireworks at the end of our interview.
I love that.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. Thank you so much, Loni. Thank you so much, everybody who watched this video today with me and Loni. Loni is the woman who actually walks her talk. As I heard her, she said, start with a passion, start with something where you see the gap in the market. Close that gap, but be passionate about this, right? Get frustrated about this and be passionate about this. Actually, close that gap to help many others. And then go into finding the balance. Be intentional about seasonalities in your life and also your business. And next thing, of course, make sure you thrive in your business through the right mindset. Oh, that's another big one, fireworks, right? Make sure you do thrive in your business through the power of your mindset. Loni is the woman to get in touch with if you're still doubting yourself. She did herself. Find out from her by contacting her, but also she can help you if you are an expecting mom with your little nursery and the rest of your house. So thank you so much for listening today. And also, please make sure you share this video with everybody whom you think you can inspire, because Loni is on a mission to help as many people as she can around the globe, and so I am too. So thank you, Loni, so much once more from the bottom of my heart. It was a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you.